Mr. Happy Living here, and I'm happy to be broadcasting from WITV7 in the beautiful Queen City, Charlotte, North Carolina, USA. Hey, friends, will you join me for a moment and imagine just how amazing you'd feel living the unique and distinct life you were put on this planet to live, doing work you love, with people you love, in places you love, and all the while creating something of real value to others. That's what I call a life of significance, and I can tell you it makes a very happy life. And so can my friend Brian Shaw, and he's here to share his unique and distinct journey to his life of significance. But before bringing him on, I'd like to share a poem that we created to thank him for being our guest star today. It's called A Vision of Care, and it goes like this. Brian Shaw, with a vision bold, saw how great patient care could unfold. Through Caremiga, he guides the way, joining hearts and minds every day. A mission born of love and grace, improving patient care in the healing place, where empathy, trust, and values shine, transforming hearts one soul at a time. Tune in now and hear a gentle voice with a call to care, a better choice on something significant. His story shines bright. His vision of care is an inspiring sight. Hey, Brian, welcome to the show.
No, thank you. That's beautiful. Thank you
You
so
know,
much for that.
you're welcome. And I made a big mistake because we scheduled you 2 days ago and I had my follow-up email sent. So you were supposed to hear that live on the air for the first time, but I know you had a chance to read it already. And it was wonderful that we could have you on. So just get us started by telling us what you're doing these days to make your mark of significance on the world.
Absolutely. So I'm a nurse by trade. I've been a nurse for 30 years, and it's probably rightfully so. I was sort of brought up in a service to others, if you will, in the
Mm,
church with two great parents who were high school sweethearts
mm,
and been married for going on, I think 54 years or something.
yeah.
And they're both an inspiration to me, as well as did some service in high school and in college. So I was sort of bred for the life of service, and now I've become a nurse, and I've been so for 30 years, as I said. And nursing really took a hit with COVID, and I just in this life of service thought, what can I do for my fellow nurses and all of the patients out there who really take the brunt of not just COVID but healthcare in general. So we created an app where patients can show their recognition and gratitude to the nurses that are out there.
Yeah, that's
And
great. Very good. All right. Thank you, Brian. So now let's do a little mathematics so our friends all around the world can get to know you through our happy formula. It's a simple but very powerful formula that goes like this. Power plus purpose equals happy. So let's start with power. What are your personal practices for building up all the power that you need to get things done, whether it's physically or mentally or financially, spiritually, emotionally? In other words, Brian, what do you do on a regular basis to create the power you need to take excellent care of yourself and your loved ones and still have plenty left over so you can be a giver to others?
yeah, I think it takes a little bit of all those that you mentioned, certainly physically. So I got to eat right and certainly exercise so that I can have the energy to live this life. And to do that, you got to have it right mentally and emotionally. So, there's some meditation that goes in there, certainly family support and support services with my friends. Prayer certainly goes into it as well, and just being held up in prayer. And financially, you just got to have things right there, tithing and giving, and as well as making sure that we're keeping the I's dotted and the T's crossed, so to speak, at home as far as finances go, so that I can afford, so to speak, to live this life of purpose.
Yeah. So give me a few minutes on this idea of the difference between earthly energy and spiritual energy. So earthly energy is like physical, mental, financial, emotional. Those are those are all finite. You use them, they get diminished and you have to replenish them. Spiritual energy is infinite. The more you love somebody, the more love you have. So talk about the different fuel that you get from earthly energy, which is finite, and spiritual energy, which is infinite.
Yeah, you're right. It does certainly take keeping the tank full on both of those. The spiritual energy, sometimes you can find places to fill that tank when it feels like there's nowhere to fill it, whether that's through prayer, whether that's through your circle of influence. whether that's just the purpose that you were called to live. I think it's Tony Robbins that said any strong why is enough for any how, right? So you can get
Mm,
anything done as long as you have a strong enough purpose. And when you have a belief in God and a belief in people and making a difference for people, sometimes that's the only fuel that you got to go on,
yeah,
So when you're running on fumes on the physical side, a
yeah.
lot of or the emotional side, a lot of times it's that spiritual side that can kick in and give you that boost you need to keep on going.
Yeah, and you know where it kicks in also? So love kicks it in. I think that's what you're talking about. You'll do anything but also what I find kicks it in is creativity. When you're in your creative most moments, you just keep going, right? You miss deadlines and time because you're just in some kind of a spirit of creativity.
That's true. It's almost like a different dimension of time.
Yeah, yeah. All right, Brian, let's talk about my favorite power generating concept. It's called a Kaizen state of mind. And it's this beautiful Japanese idea that small incremental improvements add up over time to yield great big results. And I love it because it's based on mindset, not circumstance. Kaizening life is knowing there's always something I can do better tomorrow than today. And for me, it creates this optimistic, gentle, but very powerful and continuous uplifting of my life day after day after day. So, Brian, how does Kaizening your life help you increase your power to continuously become more so you can continuously give more?
Well, I'm gonna go to this saying that I use a lot. It's like eating an elephant one bite at a time. You can't eat the whole thing or you just wouldn't do it. So if you try to make big incremental changes, most likely it's not going to happen. But small incremental changes, we're all up for that, and we can all do that. And certainly there's something we can work on or find to work on, no matter what the circumstances, good or bad. I believe in small incremental changes. In fact, I just created this app a year and a half ago. Not that I wasn't doing service to others before that, but it took me 30 years of a nursing experience and 50 plus years of life to get to this point where I had the inspiration and creativity come up with this and really the purpose to fuel it for
Yeah,
that matter.
yeah,
So definitely, and even if you take a sort of the app itself is the idea of small incremental changes. We're in this proof of concept now with Heart My Care, which is the app I've been talking about. But it'll get better. We have other iterations that will come, and it's just going to be small incremental improvements.
yeah. The applications are a great concept for incremental improvement. And I used to be in a different business, and we developed apps in two different businesses that I was involved in. And what I talked about, what you may be using, but you may not be defining it like this, is we use the collective intelligence of the marketplace to improve the app. So you've got your app out there, and you've got a nurse or a patient using it, and they give you an idea, and you
Exactly.
say, okay, let me bring in that idea and go back to that person. Did it help you? And then you can share it with other people who might think, oh, I never thought about that, but yes, that's really helpful. And so as you go through time, you're really using the collective intelligence of all the users, and you're the figurehead that's just saying, okay, is this right? Does this look right to you?
It's exactly right. It's like crowd ingenuity. They
Yeah.
have crowdfunding and a crowd a lot of things. This is crowd ingenuity, and that's where a lot of the inspiration comes from.
Yeah, that's great. I like that term, crowd ingenuity. Okay, so let's explore purpose. That's the second element of the happy formula. And I've observed major life transformations, those really big discoveries of purpose often sadly come from devastation, addiction, abuse, disease, death, disaster, something awful strips a life to its core, resulting in a big and often unexpected change. However, in my book, Turning Inspiration into Action, I
Mhm.
share the transformational process that I've used to discover the purpose of my life using inspiration. So, how about you, Brian? Was there a specific moment or event or crisis or inspiration that revealed to you the God given purpose you were meant to live?
Yeah, again, I think it's a little both because sometimes it is those moments of crisis that give you the inspiration. So they kind of work together, and sometimes it goes in different directions. Like I said, my parents were a big inspiration for me.
Mhm.
And then COVID hit, and not this isn't our first nursing shortage that we've ever had, but it certainly hit us harder than it's ever had, and it's really been
Mhm.
devastating to the 4.3 million nurses that are out there. So we thought we would take that, use that inspiration to inspire the 335 million or so patients or potential patients. That's how many people we have in the United States, and we're all patients, right? To be
Mm.
able to give them a platform to show gratitude recognition to the nurses who are on the front lines daily, giving them that care and empowering both of them.
So you mentioned the COVID happened, nursing shortage, the whole world changed. And obviously your time changed. I remember at that time I came up with an acronym saying that we had to panic through COVID, and
Mhm.
the acronym was all about not panicking. It was investment and adapting, and it was this new concept that came to me because of the disaster.
I like it.
What was the catalyst? What caused one day there was no Caremiga, and then the next day there was one in your mind? What was that moment like for you?
That's a great question. The catalyst actually happened in May of 2023, and I was just looking at my news feed, and there was a CNN headline that talked about the nursing shortage. Not something new to me, but I was wondering why it met national headlines. And they were referring to a survey that was taken by an AMN Healthcare, which is a big healthcare company for nurses and the nursing shortage. And they said in there that there needs to be a national call to action for nurses because there's
Mm,
such a drastic shortage. And within days, I just came up with this inspiration of Caremiga, which is the company that I created to create the app Heart My Care that allows the patients, empowers the patients to give gratitude and recognition to nurses and help to fill that empty space that they may have been filling, whether it was COVID, whether it's just the situation in healthcare altogether, that there's just some burnout issues that aren't even related to COVID. Um,
mhm.
it would help to fill some of those empty spaces and give them that fulfillment and purpose back that they started in nursing for.
So, and for especially for our audience, but just out of curiosity too, a lot of people come up with crazy ideas to start something new that never existed before. And then you talk yourself out of it. Oh, I don't have the time, I don't have the resources, the experience, the money, whatever. So you come up with the idea, and then your brain starts sabotaging it, and you don't take action. How did that happen with you? Did you have some of those negative thoughts come in, and what helped you to push through it?
Of course, I had those negative thoughts, and they still come in every once in a while. They creep in, and you just gotta silence them, put them behind you. Because when you have something of value that you know is of value that you've been inspired to do, that may have been God-given inspiration, right?
Hmm.
And it can help people, and it's simple, easy to do, and it doesn't cost anything. It's really more of a question of how can I justify not doing this,
Yeah,
not giving it, as people would say, the college try, or even better, right? Not
yeah,
accepting no if they say, oh, you can't do it this way, or you can't do it this way, or no, I'm not going to do it. It may not be for everybody, or at least everybody initially, but it is something of value and something of purpose. And when you know you've got something good, you don't listen to those negative voices, you
yeah,
silence them.
yeah. Right on. All right, thank you for that, Brian. Now let's take a commercial break so our sponsor can spread a little love with our audience.
Are you ready to transform your life? At happyliving.com, we've discovered 4 keys to help you live with purpose, joy, and significance. Unlock your truth with the Happy Quiz. Unlock your happy formula with inspiring stories from the Something Significant Show. Unlock your roadmap to happiness with our free ebook, Making Your Mark of Significance. And unlock your inspired life with our life-changing e-course, The Philosophy of You and Your Inspired Life. This is your time to shine. Go to happyliving.com now and click Unlock the Power of You. Unlock your power. Live your best life. happyliving.com.
And we're back, and this is the Something Significant Show, and I'm your host, Matt Gersper. And my special guest star today is Brian Shaw. He's a visionary leader, passionate caregiver, and founder of Caremiga, a platform for revolutionizing the relationship between patients and nurses. Brian's on a mission to create a world where trust, compassion, and collaboration define healthcare, fostering deeper connections and better outcomes. Through his work, he's inspiring patients and nurses alike to build partnerships rooted in empathy, dignity, and mutual respect. Oh, Brian, I love that. And I think you're going to love this article that I found called The Science Behind the Power of Giving. It says that the act of giving itself can be a gateway for discovering your reason for being on the planet. It says the science tells us that giving our time and talents and treasures is a powerful pathway for discovering purpose, overcoming difficulties, and finding fulfillment and meaning in life. So I updated our formula. Power plus purpose plus giving equals really happy. So how about you, Brian? Has giving your time, talents, and treasures been a pathway for discovering your purpose and for getting past difficulties that you've faced and for bringing real, true meaning into your life?
Absolutely. It's like we were talking about the spiritual tank, filling that spiritual tank, and giving is something that when you give, you actually also receive. You also get to see people who are on the same pathway as you, and sometimes even worse off than you, which gives you an inspiration to keep doing it and keep going. So giving is an important part of everything. In fact, that's what our app Heart My Care is all about. It's about a nurse who gives her purpose and her passion to taking care of patients, and patients who are giving her the gratitude and feedback for that. So it's kind of a happy cycle, if you will.
Yeah.
So absolutely, it all works together, and if you don't, if you don't have money, there's always something you can give, time, wisdom, and it can help others, and like I said, it blesses you in the same sense.
Do you know what you just said? If you don't have money, there's always something you can give. That was advice that was given to a guy named Frank Shankwitz from a restaurant owner. I forget the name of the restaurant. It was on Route 66. And Frank was a young man, a young boy. He worked for this man. And the man, Juan Valdez, I think, was trying to teach Frank about giving. And Frank says, "What can I give? I have nothing." He says, "Frank, there's always something you can give. You can go weed the next door neighbor's lawn because she makes lunch for you sometimes to send you to school with." And that guy, Frank Shankwitz, ended up becoming the founder of the Make-A-Wish Foundation.
Wow.
And there's always something you can give. We get locked in on money, but it's not just money. And
That's right.
oftentimes money is the last thing that is really meaningful.
Sure.
Very good. So the science tells us that giving to others brings real meaning to our lives. And the joy that we feel from the fourth element of significance, as I define it, doing work that creates value for others, confirms that. But there's something more to it than just the giving, Brian. I believe that the real magic of life comes when you're giving from living in your purpose, because it creates a profound joy, not just to those who are receiving, but for the giver too. So, Brian, the audience and I would love to know how it makes you feel to be happily living your life and giving to others through the work you were put on this planet to do, and the people all around you have taken notice. So, my friend, sit back, open your heart, and have a listen to what people are saying about the impact that you're making on their lives by finding the magic of giving from living in your purpose. One
Yeah.
person,
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
one person said, "Brian is a smart, innovative leader, and I often look to him for ideas." Another said, "Brian challenges the status quo, and when his mind is set on something, he accomplishes it." Another said, "Working with Brian is a pleasure, as he became a colleague and partner whom I could trust and count on." Others said, "Brian is very dedicated, constantly evolving and learning. He embraces change. A leader, a collaborator, a strong work ethic, highly professional, independent, talented, decisive, always available, a standout, highly educated, a good communicator. Brian goes above and beyond, experienced, knowledgeable, an expert in the field. He's always abreast of the latest findings regarding nursing and case management. He develops a rapport with patients in his care, and they come to trust him." And finally, this person said, "Working with Brian was a pleasure, as he became a colleague and partner whom I could trust and count on. I highly recommend him as a leader, employee, or partner." So, Brian, how does all that incredible love make you feel?
I mean, I'm touched. I'm a little emotional for a lot of reasons, but I mean, I'm humbled by all of those amazing words and kind words, and um, I'm just not just doing what I'm been called to do, but what God made me and what my parents have ingrained in me. So I can't take any credit for any of that.
Well, that's beautiful, and that's really what this show is all about. When you find that authentic life, um, that magic in your life, it's available to all of us. That's what I believe, and it impacts people around you in ways that you don't understand because you're just being you. So it comes from this great big happy circle. Giving your time and talents and treasures is a powerful pathway for discovering your purpose. And then when you're giving from living in your purpose, that brings a profound joy to your life because you're just being you and what you're
Exactly.
called to do, and to the lives of those around you too. So it seems that giving leads to purpose and giving from purpose leads to joy. So Brian, if I'm going to capture the exponential power of our happy formula, I've got to tweak it just a little bit more.
Okay.
Power times purpose times giving equals happy to the third power. And that's really, truly, deeply happy. Does that sound about right to you?
Absolutely. And I would call that fulfilled. I mean, I've talked a lot about emptiness, and I think we're all just looking for fulfillment, quite
Yeah.
honestly. And we find that in our purpose and helping other people to fulfill purpose. In fact, Zig Ziglar, which is one of my favorite authors, and I think he wrote it in his classic book, See at the Top, but he said, if you help enough other people out or up, then you help yourself.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
and
And
go ahead.
100%. And this idea of happy, fulfilled living doesn't have quite the catchy tone that happy living does. But
No,
it's
exactly.
it's really it's what it is. It's this deep fulfillment, or this deep sense that you're
That's
of
exactly right.
authenticity, that your life isn't always great, but it's always what it's supposed to be. And
Yeah.
that gives you real power and real comfort and real strength.
Yeah, and I think you're right. Happy, a lot of people can relate to that term, but fulfillment is even it's a deep organic happiness.
Yeah.
It's not just happy I won the lottery. It's more than that. It's inside of you. It's how you feel, the
Yeah.
joy that you're filled with.
It's happy to the third power.
It's happy to the third power.
All right, let's wrap things up with the lightning round. I love the power words and the capacity for great quotes to change lives. So I'm going to read a few of my favorites and ask you to tell us what they mean to you. And just give us the first thing that comes to your mind, Brian, because we like to call this a lightning round.
Okay.
So here we go. From Lewis Thomas, he said, hospitals are held together, glued together, enabled to function by the nurses.
Absolutely, they are. The nurses have more contact at the front line than any other healthcare provider. And as I said, they take a lot of the brunt of what goes on in healthcare. And I know that from a professional and a personal level.
Yeah, very good. This is from Oprah Winfrey. Recognition is the oxygen of the soul. It breathes life into our efforts and fuels our desire to keep pushing forward.
I love that one. It's actually a quote on our website because I think it's so powerful, and it is the oxygen to our soul. Everybody wants to know that what they're doing is making a difference because most people's purpose, whatever it is to make some type of difference. And if sometimes you can go in life blindly doing it and not knowing whether you're making a difference, but it's nice for someone to recognize you when you do. That's what
Yeah.
our Heart My Care is all about.
All right, and this one comes from Friedrich Nietzsche. And you mentioned this earlier in our discussion. He says, he who has a why to live for can hear, I'm sorry, he who has a why to live for can bear almost any how.
Yeah, exactly. I may have misquoted that. And Tony Robbins likely did say it, but it must have came from him. And I think there's something about the human spirit, and I'm seeing it as my dad is really fighting for his life right now. It's
Mm.
some people get a diagnosis that's terminal, and they are terminal, and some get it and don't accept it. And there's just something about that why that just keeps you going, where you find that fuel, you find that strength, you find that grit to get to the next step and get to the next level.
And we talked a lot about spirit on the show, and death comes to us all on this earth. The body eventually runs out of energy, but the spirit doesn't have to. So you can be on your deathbed and you can just be lit up like a lightning bolt with your spiritual energy still. And so I hope that for your father, and I hope he has that miracle that we were talking about.
Amen.
Okay, and so this is from Steve Mirabaldi. He says, a kind gesture can reach a wound that only compassion can heal.
Yeah,
A
absolutely.
kind gesture can reach a wound that only compassion can heal.
Yeah, there's a lot of wounds out there. In fact, I think everybody has some that you just can't see,
Mm,
and really kindness is one of the only ways to heal that.
mm.
And unfortunately, there's not enough kindness in the world, but there still is a lot of humanity. There's still a lot of kindness out there,
Yes,
but you can never have too much. There certainly
100%.
can be a shortage, but you can never have too much.
Yes, 100%. This is
So
from
err
Dale
on the
Carnegie.
side of kindness.
Yes, sir. So you mentioned Dale Carnegie before, and he said, throw yourself into some work you believe in with all your heart, live for it, die for it, and you will find happiness that you had thought could never be yours.
I agree 100%. And as someone who's a Christian, and I understand not everybody is, it really is the same way in the Christian life. And I'm sure other religions as well. As you develop that purpose and you have something you're living for, that's what develops that fulfillment.
Yeah,
And it's a lot of times for everybody, for most people, is an eternal fulfillment.
yeah, very good.
That spirit
This,
energy doesn't run out.
it does not run out. This is from Goth. It's our show anchor. And he said, whatever you can do or dream you can do, begin it. Boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. Begin it now.
Absolutely. And there was a silly, not a silly movie, but it's based on a true story called We Bought a Zoo. And he talks
Mm,
about just having 15 seconds of courage can allow you to get through a lot of things. And I think that's what a lot of times what the bold step takes.
yep,
Yeah, there's a grind to it and you have to keep working. Like an app takes about 6 to 8 months to build for a development team. But if you can get over that hump of, doubt and that hump of,
yeah,
hey, maybe this isn't what I've been trained to do, right? Because I'm a nurse, so to build an app
right.
is not something that's in my wheelhouse. If you can get over that first and make that first bold step, you just sometimes just need 15 seconds of courage,
Yeah,
sometimes more, but 15 seconds of courage will get you through most things.
I like that a lot. And you certainly did that when you had the idea to start with your app. You did the zoo quote and the goth quote all together. All right. So now, folks, it's your chance to be a giver too. If you can hear my voice and you were inspired by today's show with Brian Shaw, please share a little love with our fabulous broadcast team by giving what you can to WITV7. They're a 501c3 charity on a mission to educate, empower, and encourage. They do good works with your kindness.
Amen.
Brian, I love how your mission shines through everything you do, cultivating the partnership between patients and nurses to empower each other to achieve greater health and fulfillment. And I admire your vision of revolutionizing healthcare by deepening the bond between patients and nurses, always anchored in your pillars of people, purpose, and performance. And I'm super happy that you've shared your determined, innovative, and kind-hearted spirit on our show today. Please take a moment to share any parting remarks you'd like to leave with our audience.
Well, I would say again, just reiterate that there could be a shortage of kindness, but there's never too much. So always err on the side of kindness. And just I like quotes as well. And Booker T. Washington said, if you want to lift yourself up, lift up someone else. And that goes along with the same thing that I had mentioned about Zig Ziglar saying, first you must help enough other people get what they want before you can get what you want.
Yeah,
And it's life is about people and humanity and making a difference and having a purpose and lifting others up so that you also can be lifted up.
very good. And Brian, what's your father's name?
Robert or Bob.
Bob, we're praying for you. Thank
That's
you.
awesome.
Thank you, Brian. I also want to thank WITV7 for hosting and promoting our show so we can keep interviewing inspiring guest stars like Brian and reaching folks just like you ready to create your own extraordinary lives. And most especially, thank you, viewers and listeners. You'll find links to social media and all things Brian Shaw. Find him, friend him, download his Heart My Care mobile app designed for patients to rate their nurses and celebrate their dedication. And if you're in the business, check out his My Heart Care for Nurses. You'll find all the links in the show notes. From me to you, dear friends, I love you and I want you to be really, truly, deeply happy too. So go to happyliving.com right now and download our free mini but mighty ebook called Making Your Mark of Significance. And once you read it, and it only takes about 30 minutes or so, then give some thought to what we can do together, you and me, to improve the happy of your world, one person at a time. Till next time, I'm Matt Gersper. You are awesome, and this is the Something Significant Show. And we're out.